Hey guys, it's Jeff from RenoVision. Today we are building a maintenance-free deck. That's right, we've been doing decks on our channel for years. Usually I'd use cedar or pressure treated, but today we're using TREX. I know, it's a little expensive, but in the world of home economics nowadays, every dollar you spend on materials gets you $3 or $4 return on your value of your investment, okay? That's the way it works. Housing prices have gone through the roof, so everybody in North America, every dollar you put into your house, you're gonna get 3 to 4, depending on where you live. Today's video is sponsored by Camo. Huh? That's right, sponsored video from Jeff, what the heck? Bottom line is, I've been using Camo for 30 years. I've been doing Camo on my videos ever since we got started. They got a new product out and it's awesome. This is a shed base, a deck base, a post base, anything you want to do on the floating on your ground, you can make out of using this as your structure now. So gone are the days we're gonna be using cement blocks ever again. First, let's talk about our design. We're gonna go an 8 by 12, and the reason for that is they sell 12-foot TREX at my local Home Depot. And I like to keep things simple. I like to work with what's in stock, especially nowadays. Supply chain is always getting weird and crazy. We're gonna just make a quick triangle here and use this board for our marks, okay? I measured 4, I'm gonna measure off 3. I wanna get something that's just a complete extension right off the corner, okay? And then what I'm gonna do, Matt, come on over here and give me a hand with this. All right, I'm gonna hold this here. You're gonna put that 5-foot mark on that black line.
Yep.
And we're gonna pivot. Sure, that's my spot. How are we looking?
So my 5-foot mark is about...
I'm gonna hold this as a pivot and you pull that board until it hits the spot.
Right there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. X marks the spot. That'll work. Now, for me, the best way to deal with a block like this is take a little bit of spray paint and I'm painting my outside corner, okay? Oops, there we go. Once I move the board, that's where I want my post to be, okay? We're gonna use joist hangers on this end, and over here we're gonna have a rim joist, and I'm gonna have a 4x4 post adding a structure coming out of the middle of this block, okay? So this corner right here is that corner right there. So the way I line that up, nice and simple, I get this line on that line, this line on this line, boom, okay? There's my mark. We're gonna dig out that square.
Sweet.
Okay, beautiful. Now, before we get started with the digging, let's mark off the other side, 12 feet away. And we'll mark off one more in the middle to give us a little more structural strength because we're using 2x8s. If you use 2x10, you can go 12 feet. We're using 2x8s because of the slope of our ground. 2x10 is just gonna get too thick over here, all right? So now what I do is I'll come back here 3 feet from that point. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Go. And 5 feet again. Okay. And like it. Perfect.
Cool.
So this time we'll mark this outside corner. Oh. Help if I did it right on the money, eh? Okay. All right. And then we're gonna set it on this corner here. Here we go. Boom. We're gonna cut it a little bit big on purpose so we got room to maneuver once we get going, right? Okay. Sweet. Now we can just put that board in the middle. That looks good. Make sure it's flush up with the rim over there.
Probably about flush there.
Yeah, okay. And then here, there we go. And we'll go like that on that line. Okay. Happy digging. It's nice to have some young muscle around. All right, so instead of trying to make this video quick and simple, and rushing through all the details. We're gonna treat this like as if you're watching it and you've never done a deck before. And we're gonna take you through every single step here, okay? Really what we're trying to do when we're doing a floating deck is create something that's square and not a parallelogram, okay? So we're gonna use screws as we get started just to tack it all together, get all the points and locations pinpointed perfectly, get everything squared off, okay? We can have the ability to move those bases for the post. It's not a big issue right now. So, first step, of course, is to attach this post. First step is attach the outside, this is called the rim joist, okay? Now we're gonna go all the way back to the building. I've got my mark on my shed here. Now, in a lot of cases when you're doing this, you're gonna have, I can attach it to the shed because it's also on the same Camo blocks, okay? So it's a floating structure. I can attach a floating structure to a floating structure. What we're gonna do is, because we've done the math backwards, we know that if we bring our joist to this height, okay, I have a 1-inch gap to the door here, and that's exactly the thickness of our finished material. So it'll go up to the siding and underneath this step right here and carry the load of people walking in and out. So the way that we're gonna be able to do this is lifting it right up to the siding, okay? And I'm just gonna throw in one screw for now, just to hold it in place. Now we're gonna check to see what we got here for level, Matt. This is our first issue. Do we have any flexibility or do we have to dig deeper? I'm still too high at this point, so let's remove the block and see if we can set it in there and get level. We can. So we can put it right in the block, but if I'm on top of these ridges, then I'm not gonna have a level deck. I'm way out. So before we can get started, let's dig another couple of inches of this grass right here so that we can slide this over a little bit, okay? We're gonna have to go right flush into the foot.
And you wanted to go on the ribs here?
No, inside. Actually, right in there.
Boom.
How's she looking?
Perfect.
Is that sitting on that? Yeah, it's on the pedestal. Okay. Beautiful. Gotta love a good ground level deck, eh? We're gonna go 2 inches. So you go to the hardware store and you order 12-foot lumber, and it comes almost an inch too long. Very important you measure these things, because I'm gonna guarantee the composite material that we're putting on top is gonna be exactly 12 feet. It will not be 12 feet, 1 inch. And we're gonna line this up here. Cut that extra off. And I've got to cut off the extra material right here. It's 2 inches up, 1.5 inches over. 3 inches over. Okay. This corner is just really frustrating. I need a little bit more material out of my way, believe that or not. Just on the bottom here. Okay, let's see if we can get that in there now. Flush, yes. Throw a level on that now for me. Let's make sure. Just make sure that, I'm pretty sure we have to lift it into place now.
We gotta lift my left side.
Good, so we're fine then. Wow, okay. That was a lot, just to say this. The goal is to tack together the perimeter so that you can confirm that you're level and square. And whatever that takes is what that takes. Now, these screws are temporary. Let's put the other post end over there And let's get another 2x8 at the other end. Okay, there's my outside corner now. We did a measuring error earlier, so we ended up in the wrong location with that first outside corner. But okay, there's my 12. Now, I don't need to find this outside corner, but there's definitely something wrong here. I'm looking at square first. I got a parallelogram going on right now. We came off a post, and now we're working in the middle of the block. So now our deck block is in the wrong location.
Our block goes that way.
Now the block has to go back to where it was.
Sweet. Okay. Here, you want to hold the square over there and I'll tap it till it's square?
No, I mean, it has to move over about 4 inches. You know, the easiest thing to move is the back.
The shed?
No, where it hits the rim joist. Let's just do that.
Okay.
Let's leave this where this is. This is lined up perfectly. I don't want to have to redo all of that stacking and packing. We're going to square off right here. When you got that kind of flexibility, you take it.
No. Oh, that's...
No? Yeah.
To me. That's perfect. Boom.
Okay. All right, so at least that is square to the building.
We gotta do this side too.
That looks so much better. Yeah, and then we got to measure. Well, we'll measure this off because my material is going to be not merciful. Okay, this works now. Okay. Now, one thing we don't need here, we don't need this post to be inside that corner perfectly. It has to carry the load from here. So that works. So let's put the level on this side, and I'll throw in another screw. All right. Okay. Okay. Hit the front. Let's confirm. Should be inside the number lines. Yep, we're good. Okay. All right. I thought this was going to kick my butt, but here we go. All right. So now we've got 3 points of contact for the rim joist. 2 of them are going to be through the face of these posts. Now we got to cut the posts down. Okay. And that's right. The bottom needs to be squared off. Oh yeah, you're right-handed. Blah, blah, blah. So that almost works. You know what happens there, though? Because you're starting already where the cut is, the blade is more likely to bend with the wood than to cut it. So take an extra saw blade off so you can actually cut that. Make sure the backside isn't sticking up, because it'll be a little nuisance. You know what I mean is, like, actually take an extra 1/8.
Oh.
Now the blade is cutting through the top as well, and it won't be pushed out of the way.
Okay.
There you go. Pressure treated lumber is rated for ground contact. The 4x4 posts are anyway, and they come sealed and stained. But everywhere we cut, it's no longer treated and becomes the weak spot on the deck. So we use this lovely mixture here. Make sure you stir the bottom every time you open your can. Mix those solids in. All right? And then just really good, healthy dose of it. Really soak it in there, okay? There we go. This side is cut on both sides, so we do both sides. It's not about being pretty. This is about getting that really sealed and soaked up in there. Okay? Beautiful. All right. And we'll just keep that handy right here. Now we'll go back to level over here.
Right there.
Just with a quick screw again. Now we've got this in place. We think we're square. Now we're going to measure up our 3, 4, 5 again. Okay?
3, 4, 5.
Yep. And make sure that we're not full of it here.
Perfect.
Yeah, nice. All right. And then we should do the same thing over here again.
Perfect.
Okay. So the other way to do this, and I'm not doing it this way on purpose, it's because I'm actually under the siding. It's hard to get a perfect measurement. Is you can hold it to the outside corner there, right? And measure to this outside corner, 174.5. And then you do the same thing on the other corner. And these numbers should be the same. 73.5.
So we did it right.
Is that 173.5? I thought this was 174.5.
It was 174, yeah. It's also difficult to do because of the siding, so I can't actually get it directly on the corner.
Yeah. I get it. Okay, and then, well, let's do it this way then. You go over there, have the same problem. Once you fix that, it became 174.25. Believe that or not, eh? $174.
Boom.
All right. We're out a quarter. So that way is longer. I mean, we're gonna just give this a nudge. A nudge. Like 1/8 of an inch. There you go. That was a nudge. Now we're square. All right. Next step. Put in all of our floor joists. Okay, so traditionally with houses, flooring, decking construction, if you're using 1-inch lumber as your finished material, like a cedar deck board or a pressure-treated deck board, you go 16-inch on center. But with composite, because in the heat it gets a little soft, you got to go 12-inch on center. All right, so for everybody out there who's thinking about going from taking their wood deck, removing the surface and putting on composite, listen to me here. Your wood deck is 16-inch on center. Composite requires 12. There's no warranty for you if you put it on 16, and then in the heat of the day you walk in your deck and then you get, it sinks. And then when it cools down, it stays sunken. It doesn't shrink back, all right? So just heed my warning. You don't want to be that guy who pulls off his pressure-treated lumber just to go and add composite decking and make an absolute mess of it, because that's all, that work is all destroyed. 12, 12, 12, and 12 is 48.
Yeah.
50, I'm going 10-inch on center now. Oh my God. What am I doing? Let me try that again. 12, 24, 36, 48. I'm good here. Okay. And then 12 is 60. So that is good. And then 72 is 12. Oh my God, okay. Yes, I'm fine. See, the problem with my tape is I've got red squares and black squares.
Oh yeah, that would mess you up.
So now I just stay on the black squares, I'm fine. That's actually 12-inch on center. Okay, that is messing me up. And you're all done over there because you're sharp as a tack.
Taught me well, man.
I'm an old man who doesn't know how to read his own tape measure. That's just brilliant. Nothing like a big fat piece of humble pie first thing in the morning. All right. Now what I'm looking for here is the crown. Generally speaking, joists have a rotation, okay? And if that's the 2x8, it's an exaggeration, but you're gonna be looking at a curve. So the crown up, because the likelihood of the downward pressure people walking on it will flatten that out over time. If you start like that and you step on it, you go like that. and that's really, really bad. Or if you alternate from up and down, then your boards are like this across your whole deck. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna start my screw, get an angle set on it, all right? I'm gonna hold it in place. You're gonna make it flush and nail your end. Yep, go 4 nails. Now, just so that we're clear, 4 nails means he doesn't need to use a joist hanger at his end. Okay?
Really?
Yep, that's structural. The reason I'm coming up to my siding is in one of the earlier videos when we did the siding, what we did is we actually snapped the chalk line from one corner of the shed to the other, underneath that step, and we built our entire siding job on that chalk line. So it is level. We're gonna get 4 or 5 on, and then we'll double check with the level, just to make sure, but it should be good. Yeah, we got a gap, I can stick my finger in here. So this is what happens, all right? So what we have is our rim joist here. It's got a nice curve to it. It's a curved piece of wood. So even though it's screwed all 4 corners, and even in the middle here, it's still pulling out, okay? So the way you fix that is with one of these headlock screws. These are structural screws, right? But they got a nice flat surface, so we can go flush into the wood. Remember, we can't have things sticking out on the outside because when we're done, we're gonna put a piece of composite fascia on that as well to complete the look of the deck. So you can drive that in right in the middle. All the heads of those nails will stick out and then you can just drive them back in again. And really, it's just all about closing the gap. Perfect, okay? Yeah, so generally speaking, in a lot of cases when you're doing a deck, you're gonna need 3 or 4 of those anyway, so buy a pack of 6. Every second joist, you wanna tie it all back together again. Okay, and make sure you nail this one too. There's only got one screw in it so far. That's a nasty warp, eh?
A couple nails on the end.
Yeah. Okay, 4 nails on the end. All right, so this time, I'll screw my end in first, and then you can push the board into the wood when you nail it.
Yeah.
All right?
We are in there tight.
Yeah, too tight probably, eh?
Probably should have waited.
Just push at me. Don't worry about what's going on at your end at all. Just keep it pushed towards me. All right, now, line up on your 12. And that nail should pull it tight. There you go. That's a little more efficient, isn't it? Okay. Now, one of the benefits of the kind of fastening system we're using, the 12-inch on center doesn't have to be perfect. Don't drive yourself nuts with the lines, okay? Give or take an 1/8, 1/4 inch, it's not gonna hurt anybody. The most important part of this is having it as flush as possible. That's pretty darn sweet. Okay. Whew. There we go. On the bubble, baby. So the next step, of course, is we need to think about our structural transfer because you can build a box like and put 1 screw on the backside, and that's fine for now. Don't step on your framing until after you put your joist hangers in. But we want to do this. We're going to put one of these structural ones into every one of these joists and into the blocks, preferably 2, because it's overkill. Now, one of those screws will carry 3,000 pounds, 3, 6, 9,000. I'm not sure how many elephants you're gonna have on your deck, but better safe than sorry. So look at it come out the other side. Those are super long. Wow. All right. All right. Okay. And on the last joist, we'll do 2 screws as well, okay?
Okay.
Because we cut it short. All right, so we got 2 different kinds of support brackets over here. One is a joist hanger, okay? We'll go through the science of this. Basically, it goes underneath, okay, and then you've got nailing surface on both sides. And so all the load from that joist comes along and sits right in here in the bottom of this bracket, and then that is transferred through the steel to all these fasteners. So whenever you're working with a fastener system like this, you want 1 screw in every one of these holes. That includes the ones on the angles, okay? Now, you can use screws or nails. I like screws because it comes with a bit and it has a hex head fastener system. These are structurally rated. They do have a code stamped on the head, okay? If there's no stamp on your structural fastener, it's not a structural fastener. Even the nails have a code stamped on them, okay? So you put that in there, and on this angle, it goes on this angle, okay? It goes on a 45, so it catches the edge of the joist and the rim and ties them together so they don't pull apart, okay? This is very important. When that fastener is all the way in there, you can see it'll be sticking about 1/2 inch into the rim joist, okay? Very good. So, as long as your inspector sees stamped screws or nails, you will be fine. Because residential construction always passes with the smallest dimension screw or nail, okay? This is the weakest structural fastener you're gonna have in your market. Now, I shouldn't make this point. This deck is not permit, okay? Where we live, it's floating, there's no permit necessary, which means there's no inspection, there's no rules. If you have rules, make sure you follow them. Always contact your building office before you build something and find out if you have to get a permit, because it changes city to city all over the country. Okay, now this is an inside corner bracket because the deck comes along like this, and the last thing I want is to have fasteners sticking out of the side, okay? I'm gonna be finishing off with a nice fascia board, okay? So we want that flush on this wood, flush on this wood. So instead of using this type, I'm using a corner bracket here. And I happen to know that 2 screws on each side of a hanging joist carries a joist just fine. So I'll put 3 on each side of this corner bracket, and I know that I'm just fine because the strength in that bracket is actually the joint right here in the middle. This joint is what transfers all the load. So the 3 screws are actually overkill in that scenario. Hoorah, now I got 6 holding that board. Comparatively speaking, I'm only gonna have 4 carrying this board. All right, there we go. Best way to do this, of course, is just hold it up. Drill on a 3 to 5 degree upward angle. Make sure that that steel underneath the joist is pulled right tight. Now, we're gonna roll it around the corner. And again, I'm gonna be screwing on an upward angle. And it lifts everything tight into this against that fastener that we had in there before. And there we go. Now, there's no rule about how sloppy or how neat you make this, okay? If there's steel in contact with the wood, it'll carry the load. Oh. And I'm gonna show you the proper installation, and then I'm gonna cheat for the rest of the deck because I'm not concerned about this pulling apart. Here we are. That's what a finished joist hanger looks like, okay? Go. Again, come around the other side, lift the strap up, angle. As long as you're consistent like that, your joist hangers are going to work amazing. Okay. Here we go. For me, that's good enough in a situation like this. Ground level deck, I put 2 on each side. Good contact here. I screw in at an upward angle. It's not going anywhere. I am good to go. Now, for added measure, I can always take a 3-inch decking screw from here on an angle, going down like that, holding this piece tight to the rim, just to make sure that it doesn't pull away. Now, if you're building a deck and it's a 2nd story deck and there's people underneath, make sure you follow every little detail in the design drawings, even the smallest failure. And your inspector is going to fail your inspection. And if he thinks you're trying to cut corners, he won't even tell you why. He'll just say, not passed, figure it out, or hire a pro. And that's how inspectors will spank you. They'll say it's not good enough and just leave and won't tell you why. Call me when it's fixed, they'll say. So, if you have an inspector, follow the details. All right, Maddie. Okay, guys. Remember I told you it was a sponsored video today? It's because it's sponsored by Camo. And they do more than deck blocks. They do the fasteners. They do screws. They have stainless steel hardware for the fascia boards that have really tiny heads so you can hardly see them. They've got hidden deck fasteners. I love the hidden deck fasteners. I've used the Camo screws in previous videos on almost every one of my... No, on every deck project. I don't think I've built a deck in the last 20 years I didn't use Camo screws. Here we go. Every box comes with a noob drill bit, okay? And it comes with this little, cute little accessory that goes on the gun. And here's why. Here's the clip, okay? And little T-shape on it, that goes in the groove of the wood that we were talking about. And that's a solid piece of metal that goes into the, okay? That's not plastic. The clip here is plastic, it's temporary. This is solid metal, okay? So that goes into the grooves. So what we do, we put a deck board on, yay, and then we slide this over and we put that into the groove. All right, and you build the whole deck. And you can go 5, 6 rows, putting a clip in every one of these joists. And we'll demonstrate that just in a few minutes, but for now, because we're blocking, you can see the height that that clip has to sit at. Now, in the off chance that where I put my blocking, okay, my board finishes, I got to put a clip here, I can't use the system. Now I'm kind of stuck. So what I want to do is make sure that when I put my blocking in, I put my blocking just a little bit lower than is necessary. It's about 1 inch. Okay, Matt? So if we drop all of our blocking 1 inch lower, we'll never have an interruption with our clip system. Okay? Then we're laughing. All right? So now you understand where we're heading. We'll know why we're doing this. That's important. It's no fun watching a build if they keep on doing things and don't tell you why they're doing it. Got to have the knowledge. Now, I'm cutting it 10.5. That should be snug. These boards are not straight. They've got some curves and curls. And then we'll go alternating so that we can hit nails from each side, okay? And only 1 inch off from the top. Okay, you won't get 3 nails in if you don't otherwise.
Yeah. Get 2 nails in.
Each side?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 1 nail each side.
That ain't enough.
2 nails from the inside?
No.
1 outside, 1 inside?
2 on outside, each side. Because of the gun. You having a restriction?
1, 2. So just completely beside it?
Yeah.
On an angle.
On an angle. So now what you got is you got the ability to get 2 fasteners and you got watershed. Okay? Beautiful. That'll solve that problem. Because it's the nail that does the load transfer. Having that block in there just stabilizes the wood from moving around. All right, so here's one issue we're gonna deal with. We have to deal with it on both ends, all right? These joists have got a bow going on. So because I'm doing a 12-foot deck with 12-foot material and then doing a fascia board butting up to it, kind of frame it in, what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna drop a chalk line, outside corner to outside corner. See how much of a bow I'm out? Okay? Now the worst part of the bow is right here, right? There you go, you can chalk that up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this block right on that chalk line. Okay? We're gonna screw this down. Square it off. You guessed it. We're gonna go flush. Now we got a triangle. Nothing's gonna move. Now we measure the gap, and now we nail it. Okay? This is exactly 10 1/4. So now we're gonna cut the exact block that we need, install that block, and we can remove this temporary brace, knowing that everything is gonna be perfectly square. It's just because of the angle of those nails. There we go, that closed up. I'm just gonna throw a screw in here and make sure that doesn't happen again. And we'll check our, perfect. Nice. Okay, let's do the other side. Perfect. All right. There we go. Okay, now we're square. Wow, that was work, but glad we got it done. All right, guys, here we go. Next step on the job today, we're gonna use the butyl tape on top of the joist. Yeah, if you're a fan of the channel, you've seen me do this before where I hardly use it. Like, it's not necessary. But because we're making something that's maintenance-free and I'm putting down a composite deck, I'm kind of thinking this is the perfect place to go spend the extra money, right? If you frame it properly and you've got good drainage and you use the tape, especially in an area where you got a lot of trees, this is going to protect the top of the surface of the joist from collecting those organics and then going to rot, all right? So if it's gonna be a maintenance-free shed, it's not in the top of your mind to go and do inspections a couple times a year, pull out the pressure washer, clean out all the lines. You're looking for something that doesn't require that kind of attention. So in that situation, I recommend using the tape. Now, this stuff is not as convenient to use as you'd like it to be, because it comes off the roll and then you gotta peel the backside off, blah, 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 okay? Real frustration. It's only adhesive on one side. I wish they would find a way to design this differently so it would operate like a regular kind of tape, right? And here the tape, the adhesive is on the same size as the roll, so you can just pull it out and slap it down. This stuff all works backwards. Okay, now I'm not gonna go right to the end on this because the nature of this build, I don't know where my end is yet. I want to finish with a full board with an overhang. So we're going to save that last piece of joist tape until we actually build the deck out. That's going to be the key because I have the ability here to add a 2x6 and then a 2x4 to build out another 3 inches on my deck. And then I can use the tape. All right, so we'll wait for that until we get there. In the meantime, we're going to fuss around with this stuff. Oh, lovely. It did it again. Ah. Joist tape is lovely, wonderful stuff when it works. And there we go. Somebody's got to go back to the drawing board and make a joist tape that actually applies easy. This is the stuff they're selling at my local Home Depot. If you have a product that goes on easier than this, let me know in the comments. Because I would love to be able to save a lot of people a lot of frustration. Like, here it is at Tor again. This is going to take me all bloody day to do at this rate. That seems to be a better process. Well, my life, it's never all that easy, is it? We were supposed to have this product delivered to this site. It was an oversight. I waited the last minute to order it, and it's late in the summer, so guess what? Nobody had inventory that was anywhere near this area. So I went for a drive the other day to the one store that had the product left in stock, and they're 12-foot boards, which is what we wanted. That was great, so we bought 23 for the project. And my truck has got a short bed, so I used my little window there and I slid all 23 pieces stacked up through the window like a moron. And the last turn before I got out here, 40-minute drive later, load shifted in the truck, blew my window out. So, better laugh than cry. Let's move on. We're here to install our deck today. This product actually comes at 12 foot 2 inches, which is great. I like it because it allows me to miter and do the waterfall off the end. Okay? And that's the goal. That's what we're looking for. So we're gonna just miter our boards to go down the side and create a skirt because they didn't have any skirt boards that match this profile. Supply chain issues all the time. Now when you're in Canada, summer is 10 weeks. So including some springtime, they'll stock up, they'll load up, but when the products are gone, they're not restocking the shelves because they're not going to sell that material again probably for 8 months. So this is what happens. Yeah, I waited too long. Just word of warning, if you're in Canada, get while the getting's good. Or you get organized because it takes a few weeks to bring in a delivery, okay? I am going back down to Florida soon to finish off my house. And so I didn't have the luxury of time to order. So what we're going to do, because I don't have a skirt board for fascia, I'm cutting boards like this to do a waterfall up the side. We're gonna build out the end to where it makes some sense, wherever these boards land. 2x6, laminate 2x4 if we have to, come all the way out here if we have to. I'll rip the bottom of this off and bring a board up to it. Everything will look hunky-dory, I think. But what we're gonna show you now is, now you got the design in your head, we're gonna show you the versatility of this product and how to install it. So my first board has got a couple of considerations. One, each end is mitered to receive the waterfall, okay? And it's gonna be roughly about there. This sill, remember we designed this from the beginning to have our siding come down an inch from this point, and that is the jamb height, and the sill has the same height. Now when you walk on it, it gets compressed. So the idea, lift this up and then slide it underneath. Now we're tight up against the door, but there are gaps all the way along the side. So what we want to do is just kind of even those gaps out a little bit. That looks pretty good. What do you think?
Half inch here.
Yeah, okay. And then in order to get started, I know this is a hidden fastener system, but we do need to use some surface screws. Okay, we're going to use a trim screw and pre-drill and drive them in to set our first board in place. And then we'll be able to show you how the rest of the system works. All right, so you're right there. What I'm going to look at is, yeah, that TREX board actually came out of the store pretty right on the money. Wow.
That did nothing for us.
It did nothing for us. All right. Doesn't always work. So these are a Camo trim screw. This is a very unique head. It's very short, okay? It's a low profile scenario. So what you'll see is we'll pre-drill the hole. And then drive that screw right away without moving it. And you want to have that screw head flush to the surface when you're done. Okay?
Is that considered flush?
Yeah, so what you'll see is the way that finishes, it's a bump. Right? So you want to drive it down a little bit more, and then you can use your hammer to get that residue. There you go. Now you can give it a love tap. Good. Okay? That makes it almost invisible. All right? Okay, so let's just do that all the way along. And before we go any further, I'm going to turn the speed up on this bad boy, because that is bloody ridiculous. So what we have here is a great little system for creating compression on the job site, okay? I'm going to show you this. We have something that's rigid, okay? And you can adjust this for a single or a double thickness of a joist, all right? And then we have this here that turns off center. See, that's off center. So as the wheel turns, it opens or closes the thickness to sit on that joist. Okay, does that make sense? You see that moving there? And then we have this wheel, which is off center, which is designed to work together like this. You put it on, hold it still, all right? And then you got a deck board here, and you can push it and compress it into place just by levering it, because the wheel is off center. Here's our fastener system. We showed these earlier in the day. Boom. We just set it in place, okay? That one's attached. Now, we get the groove in there, okay? We set our clip on the rim joist, clip on the joist. That's it. This is how we attach it all. So, one person is going to be sticking the boards on. One person will be sticking all these clips on. And then once we have, I don't know, 6 or 8 rows, we'll use the compression tool, jam it all together, because this one's already screwed in place. And then we have a stand-up screw-down tool. We'll drop all this in just a couple minutes. We'll put all the screws together. Okay? That's why you can go with a no-surface screw deck for the body of the deck, and you don't have to take all day long to install it. Now, the way we're doing this for our assembly is this. I'm using this as my template. Okay, I'm going to hold it here. I'm going to, come over here until I'm absolutely in love with it. And there we go. Next, you don't have to force it all in. We're just going to assemble the whole deck like this right now. Okay? So Matt, if you can lay them all out with leaving at least about an inch in between every piece, I'll get all the clips. There's a lot of labor you need on decks. This is not skilled labor. This is an engineered system that eliminates a lot of the mistakes that laborers make when they're screwing down deck surfaces. like messing up the pattern of the screws. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The homeowner comes in, they're standing there and they look at those screw lines, they want to drop a chalk line and make sure all the heads are right on the spot, right? Well, this system eliminates all those problems. You're relying on the engineering and not on the employees to do their job. I mean, all you got to do is have somebody who's willing to put one of these little things in every joist. All right, guys. So I'm set up for a single joist, okay? It says right here on the front, single joist, all right? And then I'm adjusting this rotation to make it as wide as possible to set it on the joist, close as I can. And then I'm going to compress that by holding that handle there. And watch this wheel, because this is offset. This will create pressure, okay? There we go, now that's compressed, right? So that's really handy. Now, if you give me my little cheat block there, I'm gonna do this one first so that we can set our end. Okay, sticking over too far. There we are. That's perfect location there. Nice. There we go.
So same thing, just under the surface?
Yep.
Right?
Yep, screw it and then hammer it. You got it. We get to take advantage of the heat today. It'll be somewhat malleable. And you can just flatten all that out. There you go. There we go. So what that means now, this whole row is ready to be screwed in. Here we go. That obviously goes in your drive. So you can't use your impact driver for this. You gotta have a regular chuck drive for this, okay? I'm just guessing.
Oh.
Yep, okay, so you pull this back, the collar back to release it and to set it, okay? And then this is the drive system. And this is really solid, okay? This solid steel. So what happens is you can be standing here, kind of hit the area, and it'll funnel it right into the bit, okay? Put this on, we'll lock over the pin, lock it in place, boom. Let's put this one on the impact driver, so that way you don't have to change your bit, all right? We'll leave this one on here. Whoop, make that nice and big here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna set the resistance on this drill. If you go to 1, any kind of resistance at all, like you get an inch in, it'll die out on you, okay? So we'll start off at like 5 and see if we get the right depth on that screw. First, let me get over here, okay? Compress all that in, okay? Yep. Set it on there. You're gonna have the screw right away. Whoa, too much compression, wasn't it?
Perfect.
Yeah, but did you see how much it pulled that board down? Dial that back to 3, okay? Try this one now. Yeah. And did it die out on you?
No, I stopped drilling when I felt torque.
Go to 2.
Okay.
Let's try to take the need to feel it out of the equation. That
stops.
It stopped by itself, and I saw the compression. Yeah, there's no movement. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so if you have the same drill as I do, number 2 on your torque setting, and what speed setting are we on?
1.
We're on number 1 speed, number 2 torque. Now, you can change your speed setting and go higher speed now. Now you got your torque setting set. It should work. Just go to 2 is plenty. And do this screw here, and we'll do that test as well. Done. Perfect every time. Okay? That's how you use that kind of drill. Set the right torque, the right speed, and then once you've got it so that you have an automatic stop on the drill, it'll do that torque even at 10% battery power. So the entire time you're working, you're always in a perfect set. If you set the torque wrong or you're trying to feel when to let go, you're gonna be inconsistent with the fastener. That is perfect. All right. Well, cheers to our camera guy. Joe just stepped in and said, hey guys, when you attack this fastener, you attach this board, and we haven't lined that up yet.
We got a couple fasteners.
Right? No, you got the wrong bit. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna back all this out. We're good now. Okay. Rubber mallet would work really nice there, but. Okay. First four are good. Let's just go and put all these back in under compression here, Matt.
Wow.
Right?
That is,
Isn't that wow?
that's too easy.
Okay, so all I gotta do now is make sure all the ends are good. All right. Okay, you're good for the rest of the clips. Here we go, guys. We've done such a good job installing. Nice and tight. The gaps are all very consistent. Here's my next gap, and I don't come to the edge of the deck. Now, in a perfect world, I'd have a fascia board that was only this thin, and I could have the fascia board come up and leave that same gap, and I'd be fine. But the fascia boards are out of stock. God bless you all. So, what we're gonna do is get a little creative. I have to finish this project because I'm selling this property. So I'm gonna be going vertical on the side, right? And then vertical on this side. But how do I match those two? Isn't that a kicker? Well, I can get my deck to have an overhang, right? That's a good idea, but I don't wanna see this ugly brown part. So what I gotta do is I take the table saw and I'll set the depth where that groove is, and I'll run it through the table saw and I'll cut it back to here. All right, that'll give me a nice flat piece that I can have overhang and then tuck this right into it. That means somewhere, right now I got about a 2-inch hole. That's just really not good for me. I got 3.5 inches of material that I gotta find. Well, the truth of it is, I could even go that much on my overhang. And I'm gonna be fine with that. So, in order to get that much overhang and find a board that fits here, 2.5, I need 3 inches. So, easiest way for me to add 3 inches onto this deck, 2x6, 2x4. That's it. And then I can use my stainless steel screws on that 2x4 here and here and let the rest just hang free. Okay? It's called facade for a reason. It's just decoration, all right? It has no function. So that's what we're gonna do. We'll add that length to this, screw it all down, and then we'll add the last 2 boards. Oh, fantastic. And then when we're all done building that, I'm gonna come back with my saw, my hand saw on a 45, and I'm gonna rip all of these angles down so that I have my miter joint receive this. We don't wanna create a cupping effect, so we gotta be perfectly flush. if we have any issues with attaining that, we can use the clamps. Just one screw at each end. All right. Okay, can you put one right here too? Mm-hmm. I'm just going to step on it and warp that down. Okay, nice. And then we'll grab a marker. Let's just throw that 2x8 off, right off the edge. We'll mark the backside. Okay, we'll cut shy of that line by about 1/4 inch. There we go. Nice. One over here somewhere. Now it makes sense for not having started the tape over here, right? I had a sneaky feeling this was going to happen. All right, same thing. Flush at the top. Okay, one over here. And then we're going to use the grape fig screws afterwards. Okay. This needs to be structural, because people can put all of the weight on these last 2 boards, right? So, because our joists are here, we don't have any structural screws in the middle of the joist. We're going to transfer all that load right here. Yeah, baby. Here we go. This will drive here. Off the side. And I can set the depth where it's really nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is line that up again. Can I get a black marker? So that's the depth that I want. I'm going to mark my bit so I know how deep to go. Okay? When you hold the handle, it separates the board, okay? And then just drive till the black mark hits the top of that collar there. Perfect every time. We punch it tight. The screws are at the other end here. All right. And then I drive with pressure on the board in, and I drive that one home. Okay, boom. Now, we'll drive that all the way across. You need just leg pressure, hit all of that groove every foot or so. And then the face of this, I'm gonna just cut like this. And then we'll double check that we got a nice height. And then we'll drive the screw with those stainless ones that you got. So the goal here is get this side pinned down, pre-drilled holes on all of the wood that I cut, and then we'll just bring it right up to it and drive it in, okay? Now, there's a lot of wood that I gotta cut here, like a boatload, okay? So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all these cut pieces that I have, I'm gonna set them on the corner where they match up, all right? So you can do that. I'll start working on all those. And then the good news is we don't have to finish with our boards. All of our fascia doesn't have to come right to the ground, okay? We get to stop, we get to be shy, we get to be whatever we want because we're gonna finish with white rock around the whole perimeter.
Cool.
Okay, so that we don't have to worry about these things. One of the things you want to do, guys, when you're getting over your grass, you don't want your deck boards in contact with your ground, okay? That multiplies all the problems you're gonna have with frost. So have a good inch off your organics, okay? And then find some kind of stone to go around. Now I would just go horizontal here, you know, maybe, but that end of the deck is a lot higher off the ground than it is over here. So we're gonna go vertical. It's gonna be a pain, but it'll look pretty. All right, now, whew. I'm making adjustments to my saw here so I can cut the outside 45. I'm measuring off of my deck to set the depth to 1 inch. That is the thickness of this material on a 45-degree angle. 1 inch out is also 1 inch over, okay? Now once I have that depth set, I'm gonna lock it, and then I'll battery up. Now I realize large majority of this is not an inch overhang. We're at like 7/8, 3/4, a lot of this kind of jazz. So I'm intentionally, instead of following this line, which is my 45, I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. I'm gonna go further out, an extra 1/4, and cut just about this line here. It ain't perfect. It ain't perfect, I get it. This is the back side of the deck. That's the visual side. This is just so that we can get the miter on and not have too much ugly showing. But I'm gonna have some ugly here whether I like it or not. It's just a matter of picking how much ugly I'm willing to put up with. All right, that's pretty close. What I was looking at. Okay. Now, let's go see what that's gonna look like here. Okay. So when it's finished, it's gonna be like that. Now, is that something you can live with on the back side of your deck? If not, I would love to hear how you would solve this problem. Because really the only way to solve this is make my dimension of my deck 1/4 of an inch narrower. And there ain't no idea in my brain that I can make my deck 1/4 inch narrower without rebuilding the whole thing. So, if it's only the neighbors that are looking, I'm thinking this is probably gonna be good enough for me and about 99% of DIYers out there, but I'm curious about your opinion. Oh, if I just had fascia, I would cut it flush and stick it on and we'd be fine. I'm going to establish this line here. Oh yeah, okay. Again, that's my outside corner here, right? You've got to be kidding me. Did I strip a stainless steel screw? No, I didn't think so. Like, that's a hell of a bit. all too long for here, aren't they? But it worked to tell me that it's square. Okay. Woo! So, I built the corner so that I can go this way because I've got all my cuts. But I don't think they're gonna finish perfectly. So what I wanna do is I wanna get a few feet from each end going towards the middle. And then when I get down to my last 4 or 5 blocks, I wanna find out if I'm gonna have an inch left or a half an inch left or what's the gapping. That way, if I'm too big, I can take 2 or 3 pieces and run a half an inch off each of them through the table saw. And then that gap disappears and nobody really notices the change in the dimension of the material. Oh no, I'm not drilling through the deck, guys. I'm drilling through the gap in between the boards. You're all quick going, can't believe he just drilled through his deck. Oh my God. There we are. All right, here we go. Pencil. Carpenter pencils, guys, are ½ inch this way, ¼ inch this way. Great for spacing. And it works. Wow. All right. Love a ¼ inch gap on my fascia, guys, because we do want to get air underneath here. I put all this tight together. I won't get any air circulation underneath. It won't create too much of a sauna effect in the hot days. It's not what you want. Rule number 1 when you're building, you keep it dry.